Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Oh my, it's happening. It's happening. Caesar versus Echo. And
It's
I get to
happening.
watch. So both of you guys are going to play as the Federation today, aren't you?
Indeed.
Yes.
It's a Fed Fest.
Are you both feeling confident?
Oh, well,
Terrified.
Caesar beat me last time, so I'm not that confident. But then again, I have upped my game in general. So
You've
We'll see.
been training.
By that-
Has there been a bit of a Rocky montage?
an alternate universe Rocky montage, I
Oh, yes.
suppose. So it's
Would that just be
my
the-
training in
Would that just
Dawn
be
of
the
Reapers.
montage in reverse?
Maybe.
Good thought. That it might be. Oh,
Mirror
God.
universe.
Everyone in the
reverse.
chat is still singing the Enterprise theme tune.
Of course they are. Don't worry, we'll give you plenty of enterprises to watch and sing
Centurion's
the
doing
theme
it.
tune.
Patrick's doing it. My SDA-3 uprising crashes every time an envoy finishes building. Oh, that sounds quite worrying. Can anybody else replicate that issue, folks? If you can, let me know. I will test it in my own version, but we're not here for SDA-3 today. Okay, I'm just going to check a couple of buttons. This should mute you guys. Blah, 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 blah. Can you hear me? That seems to have worked.
On Discord,
And I can
so.
hear you again. Good, excellent.
Okay.
Right, I'll click the go button. All right, folks, we're ready to rock and roll. Now, what I'll try and do is I'll try and mute. Anytime I'm making commentary about anybody's movements, I will mute.
Okay.
Yes, that would probably be a good idea.
So you guys don't know what I'm doing, but generally I'll try and stick and chat with you, and we'll just we'll shoot the poop as you do.
And hopefully Caesar's not stream sniping, because I'm not.
That sounded so guilty.
I mean, even if I was, the 5-minute delay on YouTube would probably mean my stream sniping was of not much value anyway.
We need to get a girl-signed baseball. I'd like that.
I would have found out what was happening before before the stream caught up to it.
Actually, that's true, yeah. Given YouTube delay, you probably wouldn't do you many favours at all.
Exactly.
Well,
Lamech singing it as well now. And yes,
My
Draconian, your
crossfield is ready.
screenshots have been absolutely fantastic. It would be remiss of me not to make use of them.
Well,
are
hopefully
you
there's
ready
no
to be
spontaneous
signed
crash
to
to
death,
desktop.
Caesar?
I'm going to call you Build, because I don't want to have to say a full name.
Sorry, signed or scienced?
Scienced,
Scienced.
yes.
I mean, are we not sciencing ourselves to death regardless?
I suppose. But I plan on using Crazy Federation science to make it faster for you.
Oh, crazy
Right.
science. How are you today,
so,
Build?
Getting the full upgrade rate on your research
Oh,
level
Giral.
of crazy science. Yeah.
Giral seems to think I'm playing. Oh no. This is the ultimate 1v1. It is Echo versus Caesar. I'm not involved. I'm just a spectator with my lovely pink ships.
Now, you see, Caesar, I'm going to use the spore drive to stab you in the back 23 times as is appropriate.
Are you going to go back in time and then stab me in the back 23 times?
Nice new defeat screen.
That's how it works, isn't it?
I would say so, yeah.
So, playing in the blue corner today is Caesar. Both factions of the Federation. And playing in the yellow corner, that's my colour, Sovereign,
It's the Terran Empire color.
is Echo. So we will see what they get up to this evening.
Playing in the seething with rage corner is gold with
not-
pink.
It's not rage,
It's
it's
the-
disappointment.
It's the only way.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a little look around and see what's happening everywhere. We're not playing with minor factions on today. This is just a simple 1v1. Have you guys put Defending McBoodles on?
Defending
No.
rules.
You know the ones.
That was.
Just realised everybody else is a load louder than me. Let me just fix that.
Because we're attempting to
There we are.
get the basic class interaction balance sorted out, we find it's best to not have any other interfering factors.
You find outside
Defending
sources are actually
McBoodles.
counterproductive, I say.
Yeah, it muddies the waters on what is actually balanced or not. So no defending McBoodles. Or
To coin a
outlaw
phrase.
sectors for
Centurion says his money's on
For the
on
rest of us.
Starfleet. Well, that's a fair bet there, Centurion. It's the kind of bet that I would make. So, since the last version that people have widely seen, what kind of changes have we seen in AOTF?
Stuff broke.
so there's been a universal nerf to two things. The first thing is capital ships, mostly health, but slight damage nerfs as well, because I found that they were significantly overperforming. Like having one Yorktown in my fleet let me take on a fleet of Caesars twice the size in the last game, which is a little bit more than we intended. And the other thing that was nerfed across the board was
Shield bypass.
shield bypass. Yeah, that's the one. This is after the Crossfield squadron I had was absolutely wrecking a Constitution by bypassing its shields.
Shouldn't there be a stacking limit on that?
It's not so much about the stacking limit as the value on the Crossfield itself was getting
Far
was too
high.
high from a single ability. So it wasn't stacking, it was just one ability gave it a really high bypass.
It was what 90% or something. So essentially,
Okay.
and the end result was that you ended up doing more damage to the hull than you did the shields, because you just bypassed that much damage.
Yep, and some heretical comments were made.
As they are.
I may have
Right.
said something about Discovery and TOS
Oh
in
my.
comparison.
How dare you? Right, I'm just going to mute myself for a moment because I've just got a little bit of tactical commentary that I want to make for the audience alone. I'll be right back.
Have fun.
Okay, so one thing that I did note, you guys can't hear me anymore, can you? No, they can't. That's good. Oh, my hotkeys work. One thing that I did notice is what seems to be a key difference between Sovereign there and Caesar. Caesar ran his ships immediately into the next gravity well and took it before he refueled them. In fact, I'm not even sure that he has refueled them yet. Where's he got to? No, he hasn't refueled them. So these guys aren't able to cast abilities anymore. Whereas Sovereign, what he did after taking his first world or defeating the occupants of the first world, and it appears that he's likely to be doing it again. He came back to this, which is the S3 supply station.
Unable to comply.
What that does is it refuels all of the antimatter for these ships. It appears that he's parked them a little bit too far away this time, though. And that is quite an interesting tactical difference. It appears that Caesar is of the opinion that in early game, he doesn't need to concern himself too much with antimatter refueling. We'll see how that changes throughout the course of the game. All right, fellas, I'm back. Can you hear me again?
Welcome back.
Yes.
Enjoying this so far?
Good.
Oh, I shouldn't have surrendered. I could have won this way.
Well, technically, I suppose, if we managed to kill each other at the same time, you would have indeed won.
The perfect victory. A victory without blood spilt. Oh. So now, one thing that you don't have to do here is you don't have to go into any specifics, folks. But do you have a particular build order that you like to focus on? Have you already come up with a strategy for what classes of ships you unlock first?
To a degree.
Loosely speaking, yes. Depends somewhat on what scouting information I get.
I see. So you find that there are certain ships that are more viable against other ship types. I think you're probably going to make the Suliban commentary here. Is that likely?
Yes, that would be exactly the commentary. If I see Suliban, I will go into unlocking the anti-fighter ship quite early, whereas otherwise I normally don't bother. Unless, I guess, we're going for some mine shenanigans, but I don't think we're quite at that play yet.
So what Echo's talking about there is the Suliban specifically. Their ships are very weak against anti-fighter weapons. So actually going and building anti-fighter ships early on in game, if you've got Suliban near you, can be a very, very positive thing. Whereas most other ship types, they just respond to anti-medium, anti-heavy weaponry, don't they?
Yeah. Against most of the militia, I find that just a general mix of the starting frigates is a good approach. Plus, making sure to keep your starting destroyer alive, which is in the Fed's case, the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So replacing those is quite expensive in the early game.
Cryptic says, if I get this game and Star Trek Armada 3, Federation playthrough will be my first playthrough. I get that. Definitely a popular choice.
If you get both, if you wait a while and get all of the ages of the Federation, you could do a marathon Federation.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd actually enjoy that.
The whole of history. Indeed.
Goes. Oh, lovely explosions. One thing that I really like is that Max has created specific explosions for specific ship types. So you find that there's kind of a green flare for some ship types, a violet flare for others, and I think that's really interesting and nice.
Yeah. Max has done an amazing job on the visuals on this mod.
I have a stupid question. No questions are stupid questions, except for the stupid ones. Is the Yorktown class the top ship? No, it's not. It's one of your earlier capital ships.
Earliest capital ship, in fact.
Indeed so. The Yorktown's still a very good ship, and she still remains viable and good right up until endgame, of course. But she's what I suppose you would equate to being your colony cap for the stock game.
The Yorktown, in particular, is quite impressive, even in the late game, because it has a torpedo salvo that matches the Ares. It's on a longer cooldown, and it's only in the forward bank, not the rear bank. But, damn does it hurt.
Jayombi is asking, do I need all the DLC for this mod? No, is going to be the answer to that. Typically, we find that if you have the DLC, your experience is a lot better. And I think I have to be clear about that. Things like minor factions, defending militia, random events, these are all part of the DLC structure. However, to play the base game, to be able to build your ships and just play the game as normal, you do not require the DLCs. For either this or for Star Trek Armada 3. Really like just having a look around the map, and I really like the Mazarite ship. You can very much tell when you look at it from a certain angle that it was based off the Romulan Bird of Prey's underside. Bird of Prey, Romulan Warbird's underside.
inspiration from a variety of sources when it comes to Star Trek, really.
Well, a lot of Star Trek stuff is kit bashes, isn't it? So they make one really good mod and think, okay, I'll use a bit of that.
Jaeger.
Yeah, the Jaeger. Yep. Go over here. Oh, that one's already been dealt with. People probably haven't seen too much of yet. Oh, found a clipping issue. We'll worry about that later.
Oh, I'm so happy that the research window. I'm so happy with the research window now. Ah.
Oh, it all fits now, does it?
Ah, I'm so happy. Yeah, you don't accidentally click off the bottom.
Yeah. One problem previously with the research window is it came down a little bit lower than it does now. And we found that there's a point that you click on about there, and the research window will disappear. And that was becoming a problem for players, so we squished it up a little bit and it now works.
The annoying thing about it was that you would technically be hovering over the icon for the research. You would click, but because it didn't count as part of the research window, it didn't count as you clicking it. It just clicked off. That was the big frustration with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, SQ5 first asks, will there be an option to have ship icons that immediately tell you which ship class is which, like there were in Star Trek Armada 3, before that was replaced with the more anonymous ones? Well, every ship icon is different in this mod. So you'll, for example, on the gravity well that I'm in, you can see that this one is a cruiser, this one is a light cruiser, and then you've got like the siege ships here. So
siege ships. What the hell is Caesar up to?
Long. It's not Caesar. No, I'm looking at some. I'm looking at some randoms in a gravity well. By siege ships, I mean LRS, long range. So they do each have unique icons to tell you about what their role type is. And I think that is going to help players quite a lot, because at least all the icons will be unique, so you'll have an idea about the role types that are coming at you. I hope that's a good enough answer for that. Jayombi says, I've hardly played the original game, but would I be able to pick up this mod and learn how to play as I go? Yes, you would. Yeah, I don't think you'd have a problem doing so. Oh, looks like your territory is being scouted, Sovereign.
Yes, it does appear to be the case.
You mean auto-explores being useful?
I'm kind of surprised, actually. That must mean he's pushed forward, because scouts generally don't survive very long against the neutrals.
I think this is close enough to the stock game, so you would understand what things are likely to do, and you can kind of build your knowledge off that. Now, of course, Ages of the Federation isn't out yet, so you can't download it right now. Star Trek Armada 3 is. That's another one of our team's products.
And a very good one at that.
Works.
Oh. Shh, don't tell them about the internals.
For goal, it's just satisfactory.
Well, it could always be better. I'm still oohing and ahhing, and I'm still annoyed about certain aspects of Star Trek Armada 3 that I'm not able to change at the moment. But hopefully 1.95 will change those aspects for me, and then I'll be quite happy with the outcome. But I think the moment that you're, as a modder, I think the moment that you're fully satisfied with the outcome, you've lost. Because well, there's nowhere else to go then, is there? It can't get any better than this, and some might consider that a victory. I would consider it a loss. I think I don't think that means that something can't be improved under normal circumstances. I think what it actually means is that you can't think of anything to improve it, and that's a problem with your creativity.
I can definitely see that line of thinking. Oh boy, those scouts are going to die. Of course, they had to go down.
Is the Enterprise a hero ship? Technically, no. You do get the Enterprise as the Federation when you start, but it is just a stock ship well, not stock. It is just a standard NX-01 in many ways. So losing it, it's no real skin off your teeth. It's just it's bragging rights being able to keep it alive.
I've got Archer. You haven't. Ha 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 ha.
Because I've got faith.
Oh God. Not again. Of the heart. Of the harp.
Pro Partisan says, what would you like to change in SDA 3 in the future? The way that upkeep currently works is something that I'm looking forward to being able to change. Maybe that'll happen in 1.95. That is, of course, going to be down to the developers. We've got some nice things that are on the list, if you will, to be changed in the future, which I think will very much help with the way that upkeep works. And there's a little part of me that would like to broaden out the minor factions themselves, and of course what the minor factions can do as well. So that's something potentially for the future.
Oh boy. Caesar's certainly expanding quickly.
Yeah, I've been watching that occurring. I didn't want to say anything.
I do have a plan though, don't worry.
Plan within a plan?
It's a very complicated plan.
Is it a cunning plan?
Very.
Hey, Shizzle
Would it
seems to
get
think
you-
I have faith of the arse.
Would it get you a first in cunning from Oxford University?
Mm,
It says cunning as a fox
No.
that's just been named Professor of Cunning at Cambridge University.
Ah,
I
there we
don't know
go.
if it's quite that cunning.
And of course, there's the subtle plans that you have.
Naturally.
This plan is
Oh,
as subtle
hey,
as a hippo that's painted itself purple and is dancing on a piano, singing "Subtle plans are here again."
Amazing. Blackadder. What a great show.
What a guy! What's this Orion fix? Oh, I see.
Yaha.
Well, that needs fixing. Presumably
Zaya.
by Orion. Well, based on expansion alone, I would say that Caesar is probably in the driving seat at this point. He's taken the same amount of worlds at present. No, he hasn't. Sovereign's actually taken one more world. But Caesar being over here at Gaius, it gives him more of an avenue into Sovereign's territory. So he has to think, Sovereign's going to have to think about how he wants to defend that. Soon. Very, very soon. But of course, we can see here that Sovereign does have an additional planet. So, economically, let's just take a look at their planets and see what we've got. A couple of trade ports here, in addition to an engineering outpost. For Sovereign, no trade port here. Once again, we have trade ports here. So, by and large, it looks like Sovereign has got quite a strong trade infrastructure on the go. Another trade port here, so lots of links. I would suspect that Sovereign is intending to build a trade port over here as well, so we can extend that link as far as possible. When it comes to Caesar, looks like Caesar's going down the culture route a little bit more. He's not relying on trade as much as Sovereign. So Sovereign's credit income is likely to be better. We'll see this in the after match report, hopefully. Interesting. It looks like Caesar's gone more down the refinery route. Now, these are refineries, and they, of course, give you more basic resources, specifically being tritanium and dilithium. So it looks like they're pursuing slightly different tactics when it comes to their economies. I'm interested to see what goes on here. Now, I can see that there are several annexes, and those are, of course, Sovereigns. They appear to be heading towards the front line, towards Gaius. Perhaps he wants to push Caesar back there. Elsewhere in the galaxy, let's see where Caesar's main vessels are. Could they be hiding? I don't know. It looks like his ships have gone back to port. And they are now heading, I wanted to say north, but that's not the case, is it? They're now heading to Genesis so he can secure his territory over there. So, from a tactical standpoint, Caesar's fleet is quite out of position, realistically speaking. That probably means that this little fleet here is going to do significant damage to the planet. But does he have anything that can assault the planet itself? Can he take that off Caesar? That's the question. Let's get back into the chat and see how everyone's going.
A true victory is to make
Gentlemen,
your
I
enemies
am
see
back.
Okay, I see
wrong
why he's
to
managed
oppose
to.
you in the first
Welcome
place.
back.
To force them.
Was just making commentary on how wonderful you both are.
Oh shit.
Thank you.
Brocode, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Brocode, unsurprisingly, says, "It's been a long road."
Of course.
It has. It has.
But my time still isn't finally
I'm
here.
not just any Cardassian.
Dante Dallozo, thank you very much for subscribing, my man. I appreciate that. Resources. Girl just went full Moff Tarkin. Ah, you know. I never understood how the first... Let's just zoom out a little bit. I never understood how the first capital ship thing worked. I always see one ambassador class in the fleet in Star Trek Armada 3. Yep, that's the first capital class that you get. It can also colonise planets. The Yorktown functions in much the same way as that one.
Yeah.
Cheeky Conestoga doing over there, I wonder.
Nothing.
Okay, I believe you.
I don't have any plans for that planet.
Mm-hmm.
What a preposterous idea.
And yes, indeed, the first cap ship that you build is free. That is the way the game works. I really like the design of the Conestoga.
Oh, we've got a bit of game freeze going on here.
Oh dear.
Oh, there we go.
Just wanted to have a think about it. It's quite literally the distance between your connections, I imagine.
Yeah. Probably.
Echo got too far ahead in time again.
Indeed. I do live in the future after all.
It does. Very true.
The only downside of this map is there isn't quite as much of a variety of planetary defenders. I was looking at them and there are less types of planetary defenders, unfortunately, because of the style of the map.
Yeah,
It is a fairly narrow 1v1, so
I think we need to get some more exotic 1v1s, if you like. And include some more of the grav whales that block certain ship types as well. Which we are a little lacking on right now.
That's something that we're going to go for in the future. Let's see what we've got over here. Ah, interesting. This is my cue to mute again. I'll be right back. So we can see that in order to supplement his income, I said earlier that Caesar was going quite focused, or he was being quite focused on refineries. What he's in fact done is he's dropped a starbase in his homeworld, which is an economic starbase. That will act, if he upgrades it a little bit, as a trade station all by itself, and that's why he didn't bother so much with trade here. This has given them the option to have both good refineries and a trade station. That's a really clever way of doing things, and I'm quite impressed with that manoeuvre. Does look, however, that shipbuilding wise, neither player is building a great deal of ships. There's no extreme military build-up yet, and I expected there to be. Caesar, you can see, is concentrating a little bit on culture. He's got a lot of his moving out to these edge gravity wells, the Class P planets. Doesn't look to me that Sovereign Echo has started doing any real culture at all. He's concentrated so much on trade that he has perhaps neglected his culture. That could come back and bite him in the bum later on if he's not able to take either of these worlds, which are both an avenue into Caesar's territory. We'll see how that turns out. It may turn out well, and I could be wrong. But, I mean, how often does that happen? Oh, hello, looks like something interesting is occurring here. Sovereign Echo has sent a small fleet of NX types, seemingly into Caesar's world, Gaius, the class P glaciated. Now, this Conestoga is coming over here. For what reason? I'm sure we will find out in the very near future. Let's keep an eye on that battle. Let's see if there's any impact being had on Caesar. Yep, it looks like Caesar has taken out all the planetary defenders over here at Ganessa, and it wouldn't surprise me in any way, shape or form if he now moves his fleet to intercept Sovereign's or Echo's fleet. Over here we can see that there's a starbase constructor. Based on its direction of travel, I would assume that he's going to be making some more economic or perhaps a research starbase back here at Ganessa. We will find out soon. Interesting. We also have an economic starbase that has been plopped at the homeworld of Echo. So that would suggest to me that there is a good meta for placing economic star bases at your homeworld. Back here, let's see if we've got anything specific. No, nothing too specific. Looks like Caesar has begun scouting out some of Echo's worlds. Yep, just the one star base, seemingly, at the moment. Let's get back into the chat and see how the boys are doing. And we'll concentrate on Gaius and see what happens here.
So
well.
grab that one. But I actually think there's more of an issue on this map with the militia on the anomalies being too strong usually. Kind of stops you from...
They are fairly tough, but I didn't have set up appropriately, and they're not too much of an issue, really.
Jarell says, this is basically a match so Gull can spy on both of the players and learn their weaknesses.
Of course.
Gull has gone Obsidian Order. I like it.
It is the way of Gull.
Looks interesting at the moment. I can see that there is a little bit of conflict occurring over at Gaius at the moment. Hey, Jesus. He says, it's not that hard to improve from absolutely horrible. How dare you?
Ouch.
Excellent. Just everyone else is better.
It's a bit of a burn there, really.
Autofire says, Patak! This needs more Klingons. Both of the boys wanted to play Federation this time, and who am I to disagree with them?
Yeah, there is a reason we're not playing Klingons right. It's because it's a bit harder to get the balance feedback we're looking for right now when there's Klingons involved.
Hmm. So what you're effectively doing here, I imagine, is looking at looking at tactical aptitude, I suppose, for both players, and making sure that you can employ some type of tactic, which is interesting. This is interesting. Speaking of interesting,
each of the ship classes is typically set up in such a way as it should counter certain other ones. And we need to make sure that that's actually happening as intended in a live environment. Because it's one thing to chuck a couple of ships down in a Gravwell in dev mode and throw them together. And entirely another to see whether it's practical in live environment.
Indeed. I can see that. Let's see what we're doing here.
I see what you've done there, Caesar. Renaming that planet.
Indeed. It appears that you're disappointed with some of Echo's decisions. Now, given that Caesar can now see them, I can talk about these. These Daedalus classes are planetary siege vessels, and you'll see the way that they work in just a moment, I imagine.
As the troops begin to land. See,
The
There's a-
Rimulans, oh Lord, Centurion Y. Um,
there's an important distinction to make here, in that Caesar tends to play a little more safely, but generally has a better late game than me, whereas I am all in.
Echo goes full Austin Powers. I too like to live dangerously.
So what you're seeing here,
Yeah,
folks,
basically.
is you are seeing... now, this is more of a Federation trait than a Klingon trait. You are seeing assault shuttles deploying from the Daedalus classes in order to assault this world. Now, this... it's just an aesthetic choice, really. This is planetary bombing as far as the game is concerned, and it's not a major departure from standard planetary bombing in the same way that you would find in Dawn of the Reapers. Echo's developer on that too. But we thought for the purposes of the Federation, they wouldn't necessarily bomb all the worlds they came into contact with. They seem to be a little bit goody two-shoes and too nicey-nicey for that. So we thought assault shuttles might be the way to articulate or demonstrate their proclivities. Ooh, that's a good word, isn't it?
It is.
So that's what's happening over there. And you'll find that with the Klingons, they are far more focused on planetary bombardment. They do the odd assault shuttle, but there's also a lot of bomdy.
This is going to be an interesting fight.
Ah.
Now, the question is, do you have blue phasers yet or not? And those might also sway things one way or
Okay,
another.
let's take a look at both players here. Given that you're in the same gravity well, I'll just talk about both players' sets of ships. Now, looking at the players' ships alone, we can see that Caesar does technically have more ships, but he's bugging out. Now, why is he bugging out? Because he feels clean. But also, you will note that his Enterprise NX-01 doesn't appear to have an engineering hull, whereas if we roll over here to Sovereigns, they do appear to have engineering hulls, which means he's got the Endeavour refit.
Yes, there's another factor in why I'm bugging out here, though, and that is that I have no antimatter left on any of my ships, and Caesar has full antimatter on all of his ships, which means the powerful abilities on the NX are not going to come into play for me.
Are rendered
but they
useless
will come
to
into
you,
play
indeed.
for Caesar's fleet.
And there are also excellent abilities on some of his other ships as well. Neptunes, for example,
Yes.
have great abilities.
Yeah, so while I was confident before that second NX showed up, I'm no longer confident now. I'm also not certain as to how the Poseidons will impact that particular battle.
That would have been an interesting battle to see, just to see what kind of overall impact Poseidon's had. Because
It
they were too
would
strong to
also-
begin with, and then we nerfed the bugger out of them.
Yeah,
So it would be interesting to see where they sit now in the grand scheme of things.
yeah. Well, of course, the other thing is that if I lost that fight, given the amount of resources I've invested in getting 5 endeavors this early on, I would be in a pretty poor situation.
Hmm.
Especially as I'm conducting this offensive here.
Question is, are you in a reasonable place to be able to defend that offensive now, with the enemy fleet presumably chasing you down? I don't know if they are, of course.
Indeed. Well, I'm fairly certain that I'm going to be able to bomb the planet down, which is what I'm mostly looking for.
Out of interest there, Caesar, have you invested any resources in upgrading the planet now known as Echo Will Die?
Only 2 into the civilian infrastructure, so I'm not losing money, and 1 into emergency facilities.
Okay, so you've not
more
lost a
time.
great... There's no great net loss of resources there, even if the
Not
planet
really.
is taken. Okay.
That's true, but if I manage to take it, he'll have to invest in siege ships to get it off me, which he doesn't appear to have done yet.
I couldn't comment on that.
As far as I know, he hasn't done
He
it
says
yet.
while frantically looking around the map to see. Let's see, we've got some more new planetary names as well. Echo equals food. Oh, fool!
See, I think Caesar here is a little bit overconfident with these names. Right.
Another quick mute from me, I'm afraid, folks. Just going to talk to the audience once more. Yeah, I'm quite interested to see here what Caesar's going to do with this Archimedes. Now, this is a Starbase constructor. Is he reversing that? It looks like he probably is. I think he was toying with the idea of pushing it forward to Telesio to try and lock down that, but I'm not 100% convinced if that was the reason. You can see that Echo ships are now going back in order to try and refuel. Does he have a refueling station here? He's left himself fairly short with refueling stations. I noticed that he's still only got one at his home gravity well, which perhaps that's not ideal. Let's see over here. See, there's a defense turret here, just in case. A couple of researches. But again, no logistical play here. From either player, they've put nothing to refuel themselves on the front lines in either case. Now, was I one of the players at this instance, I would probably, over at Echo will pay here, or indeed, what's the one, or Anatorius, I'd be putting a logistical base there because it would allow me to push out more quickly and deal with potential threats. Caesar's Legion has decided to continue bolstering over here at Echo will die. And are there any ships going elsewhere? Doesn't appear to be. I wonder what type of starbase we will get. Yeah. Was it over here or was it elsewhere? Whoops, just been tabbed out by antivirus telling me that it's expired. Come to Quacks. Quacks is fun, says Mr. Dalek. Quacks is fun. Captain Forsyth says, what's your favourite 22nd century ship? Ooh. Don't know. That's an excellent question and one I'll have to think on. I did particularly like the Klingon Raptor at the time. Thought that was a really nice design. So perhaps that. I do have a passing fondness for some of the Starfleet Museum ships as well. Things like the Cabbage. Conestoga going back in to try and take Echo will die back. Now, did we get a starbase building anywhere? That's the question. I don't know where that is. Oh, look, here we go. We have another economic starbase being built here by Caesar. So that might suggest that he is unsatisfied. Yeah, and another economic starbase. That is very, very interesting. Back here, no more star bases, interestingly. That would suggest that Caesar's struggling for credits a little bit, and therefore he needs to bolster his resources somewhat. Let's see if anything similar has happened over here. Another economic starbase. From they're very much mirroring each other's tactics, aren't they? In many ways. Economic starbase back here. No starbase, but much more trade. Echo is definitely, of the two players, the more actively engaged in trading. I would be of the opinion that Echo is probably making more bank at the moment. Once again, at the end of the match, hopefully we'll be able to see if that has any real impact or not. Let's get back into the chat. Okay, fellas. There we go, I'm back again.
Welcome back again.
Welcome back. Things are about to get interesting.
Where am I looking?
In a minute or two.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Notice that there's new planetary sounds. Or are they dust cloud sounds? Kind of like whistling winds and things? They're quite nice.
I'm sure they are. I'm just a little bit tied up killing
Doing
Caesar
other
to
things.
take the time to listen to the planet.
Doing other important things. Busy with Empire stuff. Lots of Empire stuff. Busy with Empire stuff. Lots of Empire stuff going on here.
I note that at this point, I imagine that both players can see this because they can see the phase lanes involved. So I don't feel bad about talking about this. One thing that I noted early on was that I believe Caesar, you started culture a little bit earlier, or culture propagation a little bit earlier than Echo. Echo, is your culture propagation now as a direct result of the fact that you could see Caesar's culture?
To an extent, yes. Because of the expensive military start I invested in, I didn't really devote very much towards things like culture. Culture is a luxury in the Terran Empire.
There are other things I'll want to discuss later on with you both, which I think might be quite interesting. I've touched upon them with the audience, but I think in order to discuss it, I'll need to wait until you've both fought a little bit more and seen a little bit more of what each other are doing.
That's fine. I mean, me and
Yeah.
last time me and Echo did this, we had a nice long conversation afterwards anyway. So
Excellent.
Yeah. It's important to have a good post-game chat after a balanced match like
Indeed.
oh yes.
And the reason that I want to discuss it is because I'm noting that you are both opting for very similar tactical decisions in certain regards. And we'll discuss those afterwards because it may suggest that certain other decisions that you could make are less viable. And that could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, having a spectator in this regard is helpful because it means you're seeing both. You are seeing what we're doing at the same time.
Yes.
Whereas
Yeah.
afterwards, when me and Echo have chatted like this, we've got to try and work out where we are at each stage before we do particular things.
Lauren says Andorian ships are quite cool. Andorian ships are really nice. Now, one thing that you will find with minor factions is I believe you're going to be able to purchase Andorian ships and Vulcan ships.
You can purchase Andorian ships. Vulcan ships are only accessible as non-controllable defense fleets. So
there we
the
go.
Vulcan minor faction will send defense ships to where you want them to go,
Ooh,
but you don't
Yorktown.
personally own them. Yes, I have in fact fielded a Yorktown.
I noticed that a couple of minutes ago.
Piece of candy.
I also would say, in somewhat rebuttal to your earlier comment, Gull, that this map encourages certain things quite a lot.
It perhaps does. I think its limited size is probably forcing certain decisions upon you.
Well, I don't think the size is quite as bad as the way the militias have panned out. Because certain militias take a little bit longer to get through, given where they are on the map, than I would like.
Oh.
This is going to be interesting.
All right, so we've now got
well
a fight between Echo and Caesar over at, what's this one called? Ghostal.
Unable to comply.
It does tell me that Caesar has managed to get his blue phases out, though, which is important information.
Quick, rush them.
Yeah, as feds, you really do have to rush the blue phases, otherwise you're going to be at a disadvantage.
It looks like, in part because of the way your fleet was a little bit fragmented there, that perhaps Caesar's having a bit of a better time.
Well, he is going to win this overall because he has 3 NXs, and NXs are very good at killing early frigates. I'm just trying to do as much damage as I can, which I possibly shouldn't be chasing that Poseidon, but I like to kill the Poseidons because they're a pain.
Well, it's not like the crew of the Poseidon will be bothered anymore, is it?
Brutal.
Right, let's try this again. It's important to note that while people do keep calling us both very good players, we're still both very new to AOTF in general.
Oh yeah.
So this is certainly not the highest possible level of play in AOTF.
Absolutely not.
Well, no, I mean, you're both learning the potential tactics that you'll likely employ in future, which is that's probably going to give you quite a nice tactical advantage later on.
True. Although in some respects we do have to try and remain impartial, recognise what's overpowered and what's underpowered, and
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
be honest.
Yeah.
Time for me to retreat into my burrow again. Okay, can you guys hear me at the moment? No, they can't. Right, so it looks here like Caesar might just be somewhat in the driving seat. He's taken out one of Echo's fleets. And indeed, he's taken both of these wings. He's taken Telesio. Currently, he's in control of Echo Will Die, but he's not going to be for very much longer. And it looks to me, based on what Echo's done, you can see that he's got the Conestoga here. He wants this world for himself. He's also pushed a fleet forward, and it looks like that fleet is going to be going to Echo equals Fool. I don't know how much joy he's going to have there, given that there's a starbase here. It's one of the weaker starbases from a combat perspective, but if he could take out a trade station, then... and otherwise disrupt Caesar, that might be good for him. Let's see what Caesar's fleet is doing. It is coming back to Maizika. So it's likely that it will come over here to Echo Will Pay, or maybe even go to Kaizuka and cut Echo off. We'll see what happens there. We will see if what occurs here is going to be enough. Let's just take a look at the Yorktown while we go. We're going to get back into the chat. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Yes.
We can.
Excellent. This is shaping up to be quite interesting as a device at the moment. I think looks to me that Echo equals Fool is in for a bit of a good time at the moment. Do you feel confident, Caesar, that the defences that you currently have in place are going to be able to hold there?
In all probability. Yes.
It looks like one of the NXs has already been disabled.
Yes, the tractor beam on those turrets is quite nasty.
It's
The
super
turrets
cool.
are very good in general.
Yeah, there you go. There's the effect for the tractor beam, folks. Looks really super cool. Looks like the TNG one, doesn't it?
That said, turrets have been nerfed since last time we fought, so
They have.
it's possible.
That's
I
good.
will
So,
be-
Echo, what's your focus on this raid? What is it you want to do with this raid? Is it just for
destroy
disruption?
as much infrastructure as possible and pull his fleet back away from my relatively
see.
undefended areas.
Real says, it's a shame you can't warp ships into planets. That sounds highly unfortunate.
Ideally, without losing any, losing too many ships of my own.
Captain Forsyth asks, what would a Cardi ship in the 22nd century look like? I suspect that they would be a lot more ornate than the later Cardi ships. And the reason that I suspect that is because while the Cardassian military junta is already in control in the 22nd century, the Habitians, who are the same race but very much a different culture than the Cardassians, prior to them starting to call themselves Cardassians, they were very artistic people, and that's something that's quite vaunted, if you will. So I would expect the ships to be quite ornate in their design. Probably not all that dissimilar from a shape perspective, though. They would probably still have kind of a semi-aquatic style of shape. Any thoughts or suppositions, gents?
Not particularly.
No? Okay.
Kind of busy.
Oh, you're just shooting things. Ooh, the shield effects are really nice.
So I've lost, I think, 3 NXs. and I'm not going to be able to take that station down, so it's time to bug out.
But still, you have disrupted. It looks like you've disrupted trade a little bit. Oh, speaking of bugging out, that looks interesting.
It does.
You're too slow, old man.
Too slow, old man. Oh no.
But you see, he's got quite a few ships together, which means he's stacked his Death Ball debuff quite high. So while this looks very one-sided, it's not as one-sided as you might think. I'm still going to lose, yes.
I am concerned that the Yorktown had already taken a fair amount of damage.
Yeah. And the Yorktown's been nerfed since where it was before.
Oh, has
so
it? Okay.
While it's still quite powerful, it's not as scary as it used to be.
Clayton is of the opinion that one of you should have been the Klingons. They've already been through the reason that they haven't chosen to do it this time. The reason that they're doing that is because, for testing purposes, they both wanted to be the same faction. Because this is more of a tactics and strategy test. And if one was a different faction, then of course they play slightly differently. Ergo, the data that we gather from this perhaps wouldn't be as valuable.
Yes,
It wouldn't necessarily be as accurate. Here it's 1-to-1, so very much the decisions we make individually with the faction show where certain playstyles will shine in contrast to others.
Yeah. See, I decided not to pull out after his fleet arrived.
I think running
they
wouldn't
would
have
caught
allowed
me
you
and
to do any
destroyed
damage.
me,
Yeah.
whereas this way, at least I can take down as many of his ships as possible.
That stands to reason.
And tie his fleet down for a little while.
Thank you for freeing up the Jupiters in terms of my fleet supply. I do appreciate it. It means I don't have to scuttle them and make the crews feel bad.
Now the trick for me is going to be to recover fast enough to make the most of this aggressive push. I managed to take out a few labs, and research labs are probably the most expensive logistics structure there is, which means it's reasonably painful for his Caesar's economy.
Sorry. It's not.
What's the absolute maximum ship roster for each faction that the engine can hold? Well, typically speaking, you can have... I think you can have 9 of each ship type, or 10 of each ship type.
9. So you can have
yeah.
9 frigates, 9 cruisers, 9 capital ships, and 9 titans.
Yep. So
If
that's
you want
the
to
that's
go
the absolute
beyond
maximum potential. There are ways that you can spawn ships in as well via abilities.
Yeah, you would need abilities.
But yeah, to be honest with you, there are only so many roles that ships can cover. So I think 9 of each ship type, aside from the Titans, which you only need 1, maybe 2. There's not a lot of point for most players to need more ship types, because you're covering the roles and you're covering their jobs perhaps more than you're covering look at the pretties in this game.
Yeah, I would perhaps even go so far as to say we've already got too many, if we're talking just about roles. Obviously, I'm not saying we should remove any, because they're all gorgeous, and I can make roles for them. But making roles for 9 of everything is pushing it, if you like.
Indeed.
See, I would probably actually be better suited to playing the Klingons than the Federation in the 1v1 format because of my aggressive tactics. Klingons do better in the early game than the Federation in terms of warships.
As I would expect them to, yeah. That stands to reason.
Bit of lag again.
Yeah, sorry, I zoomed in on ships that I haven't seen yet.
See, I thought you got too far ahead in time again.
No, because the meshes, and they're all very detailed meshes, have not yet been binned. They're you can get some pretty big lag spikes just zooming in.
Yeah.
That will not be a problem in the release version.
No, and even if it was, it only happens once. After that once has occurred, you find that zooming is quite smooth. Just as an example, folks, if I was zooming onto this ship for the first time and it hadn't loaded the mesh, there would be out here when it's in unbinned format. There'd be a short lag spike because it would know that it was going to load it in, so it would load it into the memory and then it would allow you to see it properly. Zoom back out and see what's going on a galactic stage. Another quick mute for me. I presume you guys can't hear me? Very good. One thing that I do note here is that Echo appears, I think it's over at Sakharov, in fact. Yes. Echo has a research starbase. Now, what a research starbase allows you to do is with 2 additional upgrades to it, it allows it to act as both a civilian and a military lab, which, given the number of planets he's got, might suggest that he's in the driving the driving seat when it comes to research. That remains to be seen, though, of course, and hopefully we'll be able to see it at the match end statistics. Looks like Caesar's fleet is looking quite tasty now. Good fleet from Caesar. So just exploded. He's just deleted one of his research stations, and I suspect that was probably a civilian research station. Let's see what he builds instead. Trade stations. Caesar is struggling for money, and he's building 2 trade stations on this world now. That is an interesting decision. So he's sacrificing some of his civilian research in order to gain a better economy. Very interesting. So perhaps the economic strategy that Echo took early on is paying more dividends than the strategy that Caesar took. As I say, we don't know yet. Echo will win over here. Planet name has been changed. Very good indeed. Let's get back into that chat. Hello, folks.
Very true. I don't play like you do.
Indeed, because if I had won that kind of victory that you won against my NXs, and also knowing that you'd also defeated my frigate group, I would have been pushing right in on the attack.
Well, I'm quite happy to explain to you my reasoning for not doing so.
Oh, I know why you're not doing it. It's because you're building an Ares blob.
No, not at all, not at all. My ships were damaged. If I were to have pushed in, I would have wanted to stay. You would have had ample time, because I wouldn't have pushed for your home systems. There's no value in doing so, because you've built some turrets. My ships are damaged. I didn't have any antimatter. So all I would be doing is going in, rolling around a bit, retreating, potentially lose some ships, and not actually be in a stable defensive position. In contrast, just withdrawing, recuperating, I don't need to spend money replacing my ships.
I see.
And your fleet around quick enough to attack.
So the simple fact of the matter is I can just sit here doing some research, bumping up my economy.
Prepping the Ares blob. I know you're doing it. There's no point in denying it.
The blobbening.
Researching some fleet supply.
It's if as you are.
I think I missed a couple of the words that you said then, Echo.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, yeah, bugging out again. No, that's what I would be doing if I was playing somewhat more defensively, as Caesar is. I would be prepping an Ares blob. So, yeah. It is the late game play for victory, basically.
It's not the crossfield blob.
Crossfield's a mid game approach. No, I quite enjoy the crossfield because it's a force multiplier, but you do need to have a fleet in the first place. It won't win the game on its own, whereas the Ares conceivably can win the game on its own.
I see. And how do you feel about the relative strength of your capital ships when compared to the Klingons when they're upgraded? Do you feel they're about equitable?
I would say I probably haven't done enough tests on that to really comment yet. But they should generally win. They're fairly balanced on a 1-to-1 basis. Like if you have an Ares come up against a D6, they're going to come out basically. Like, whoever fires the last shot first will win, if that makes sense. All things being equal. Which is rarely the case in real play, admittedly.
Centurion says, what's your favourite Vulcan design? Now, for me, when it comes to Vulcan designs, the simpler are the more enjoyable, from my perspective at least. I like the Surak.
Neff has done such amazing Vulcan ships, and even structures. I can't say.
Oh yeah, they're really, really good. I would say that the Surak is my favourite design. This is one of the simpler designs. It's basically just an arrow with a round bit around it. But I tend to prefer that over perhaps some of the more complex designs. You've got the Solkar here, which, it's definitely a very nice design, and I can see why people would really enjoy it. But there's something more elegant, perhaps, about the Surak. And then you've also, of course, got the Dakir, which it's a big one. Big, hefty, warshipy thing. Yeah, I think the Surak.
So I think Caesar's noticed, now that he's ordered his Daedalus away, but I'm in fact raiding him with a single crossfield. This is another reason I quite like the crossfield, is because it can do this kind of deep raid much more safely than most ships think. So it's spore drive.
Indeed, yeah. Have you already utilised the spore drive, or are you planning to?
I did, yes.
That's a shame.
And
I missed that.
I can't really do it on demand because antimatter.
I'm not very happy with that.
That's a shame.
It is, yes. You're quite right.
Hey Farb, how you doing, my man? Is it possible to, Age of War 84 asks, is it possible to implement different warp technologies from transwarp to slipstream and allow it to be faster or slower depending on the technology? Yeah, you can, there are researches that allow you to speed up warp speeds if you choose to. That's about the limit of what you can do.
There is something slightly more exotic, but we're not going to talk about that yet.
Indeed. There are also external effectors that you can use if you choose to. And of course there's something akin to transwarp gates, which are in the base game. And indeed in Star Trek Armada 3. They're not called transwarp gates in there. They're called what? Phase gates? Phase gates in the base game.
Phase gates, yeah.
Yes, phase gates.
Declan says, hey girl, long time mate, how's life? Love the Vulcan ships. What about the Andorian? Yeah, they're really nice. I think the only real Andorian ship that I've seen that is a stock design is what they call the Kumari.
I do love the Kumari though.
It is a cool design. There's also that smaller Andorian ship that I think Max designed off a concept.
Yes.
Which looks really nice. Got some interesting things occurring. None of which I can discuss with either of you.
Doing that pesky rating thing again. It's very annoying, you know that.
If you want to blow up a shipyard, be my guest.
I'm going to blow up a shipyard.
I'm pleased for you.
Finest Fellas says, "Hi Gulp, I can't wait for this mod. Love your channel. Thank you so much, my man." I think the developers are definitely looking forward to being able to release the first version of it, just so we can get the feedback that we need.
Right.
I've been concentrating pretty much exclusively on STA3 to a fault for a little while.
I'm certainly looking forward to releasing this.
But
I would also like to know why my Daedalus are firing backwards at this. It's bizarre.
where am I looking?
The Daedalus on my Class M terrestrial had decided to engage backwards.
Working as intended.
Oh, they seem to have sorted themselves out now.
I gave them some orders to do that, though.
But they were just butt firing, were they?
Yeah, they just decided, hey, look, enemy, we're going to turn around and use the rear weapons.
Maybe that was the ultimate form of insult.
We fart in your general direction.
Okay, here we go. All right, more muting for me. Sorry, lads. I'll be right back with you. Can you hear me? They cannot. Good. Right. Okay, so we've got a couple of rather interesting developments here going on. It looks like Caesar is looking to try and capitalise on the fact that nobody has been for these central planets quite yet. And what he is, in fact, doing is he's destroying all the enemy ships here. This Dakia class is going to be a bit of a challenge, but it'll be doable. Just too many ships arrayed against it, it's not going to win. There's a lot of Tritanium around this world, so he'll be taking this. At the same time, Echo is taking a more aggressive stance. He's not going for these central planets at the moment, but what he is doing is he's building a logistical star base. Yep, there we go. Which is going to be pretty good for him to act as a springboard in attack against Caesar. And what this starbase does is it can build ships, as you can see from the little the buildy beetledees, frigates and cruisers. It can also repair and indeed resupply his ships with antimatter. So I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see Echo's fleet progressing towards Echo will win in the near future. Over here, this crossfield is still just causing a little bit of havoc over here. It's not going to have that great of a net effect. In my opinion, especially as the Federation gets particular pieces of research to reduce the amount of damage that is done when it comes to tax rate. See, the tax income is only 0.9 at the moment, but it would be significantly less were you a Klingon. Looks like Caesar's ships are now coming back, and they're going to resupply themselves. I imagine that we'll shortly see a Conestoga. There it is. Conestoga is taking this world. Is this going to become a culture world, or is it going to become something else? That is going to be really interesting to see. Excellent stuff from both players. Different tactics. I'm enjoying it. Okay, fellas. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Hope you don't mind me disappearing periodically every now and then.
No, it's fine. I'm very much looking forward to the post-game chat, though.
As expected. Well, it might be worth you, perhaps, skipping through my stream period and seeing if you can catch up with some of my commentary when I wasn't talking to you guys, and see if I'm right about what I'm thinking in some instances.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'll try and do that afterwards.
It's not that I'm trying to get my views up. Turn ad block off.
You would never do something like that. We know.
Not to worry, Gull. I have you excluded from AdBlock.
Aw, are you cute? I'm waiting for the but I don't watch your videos.
It is an issue.
Yes.
Uh,
It could be
must
an
admit-
impediment. Could be.
I don't have really enough time to watch all of your videos.
I wouldn't really blame you for that. Oh, this is not
You
what
are
I
quite
expected.
prolific.
Well, thank you. This is not what I expected.
Oh, is Caesar doing something that's not Ares Blob?
I can't tell you what either of you are doing. Although each of you know what you yourselves are doing.
That's true.
Not Ares blobbing.
Jesus, I think I should probably nerf this Vulcan garrison. It's pretty obscene.
Well-
Especially given they're all very powerful ships as well.
You've now admitted what you're doing, so I can talk about it. Yeah. I expected the fleet that you've recently moved to look at the Vulcan garrison that you're looking at the moment. I expected that to go elsewhere.
Ah. Yeah, Caesar set up enough defenses that I'm not too keen on raiding him right now.
Aren't you,
Good.
though?
He knows what I do, so
I'm not too keen on raiding him as two Daedalus class ships arrive at RIP civilians.
okay, I'm not too keen on raiding his core territory. Let's put it like that.
Oh, bit of lag.
Just looking at something for the first time.
Drow asks, and whichever one of you that wants to take over from this one can do so, what abilities does the Crossfield in fact have?
I shall take
Echoes
that.
very
over.
much the
The Crossfield man.
Crossfield man. Yeah,
I certainly am.
the Echo man
so
can.
the Crossfield has 4 abilities, obviously, as capital ships do. The first ability is target weapons, which allows you to temporarily disable the weapon.
And is that of an enemy single target?
It's an enemy single target.
Okay.
You target one enemy ship and disable its weapons for a short duration.
Now, are there any restrictions on what classes it can target?
No, there are not.
Interesting. So it
Although
could even
there might
target a
be
Titan
some-
should it choose to.
There might be some restrictions to stop it targeting a Titan in the future. We'll see.
Oh god, we're getting a Crossfield Wiggle. I didn't think we had Wiggle in AOTF.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Connor. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How's everyone?
Oh, good, thank you.
What's everyone up to?
Streaming.
I'm
Oh,
I'm currently
what the next
observing a
Crossfield
match
ability is.
between a 1v1 between Echo and Caesar. It's going pretty well. I'm enjoying
I
it.
didn't know you were streaming.
That's all right. I'm always glad to have you here. You know that. Right. Sorry. Please continue, Echo.
Yes. Let me just find my Conestoga. The second ability is target antimatter,
Oh,
which, once again, it allows you to target a single enemy ship and will drain the antimatter out of that ship's reserve.
Now, while
For a
that's
short
very, very
duration.
interesting, I think you should probably be concentrating on the match for a moment.
Oh my.
Yeah. Sorry.
What have we got here?
It wasn't fair of
Oh,
me to
look,
be drawing.
an Ares.
It wasn't fair of me to be drawing his attention away in the way that I was doing. I had to do that. Sorry.
You should be drawing Caesar. You should be drawing Caesar's attention. He's the threat here.
They're both actually very good players. So
Are they? Oh, crikey.
This lag is a little bit.
yeah, it's getting pretty rough.
Echoes using lag hacks.
This is going to be.
You can hear that Echo's internet is struggling a little bit at the moment. I'm not sure why.
That's because of all this hacking.
Must be that.
Yeah. Oh, come on, stop lagging.
Finally, a worthy opponent. Our
Lag.
battle will be legendary.
God, there's 102 people watching.
Oh my.
Oh
It's
my.
too many people.
We're popular. What's going on?
Are there 102 people watching? It says to me that there is only 24.
Oh, it said on YouTube there's 102.
Oh my. Wow. Ask questions, folks. I must be looking at the wrong screen. Darth Vader says,
105 now.
oh my god.
He can't believe it.
Girl trying to
So
interfere
we're
in the
about to
match.
see me targeting the weapons on that Ares, which is why I enjoy the crossfield, because that's going to rob him of an alpha strike.
I can see how that might be frustrating.
This is actually a very interesting battle, because I have a slightly higher tech fleet than Caesar does, but my fleet was a little bit battered before this battle.
It's also, I think, a little bit larger.
Yeah.
So is Caesar still sticking by his rules, not building anything better than a NX?
Oh no, that was a one-time attempt that I haven't replicated since.
106. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of people watching. Welcome, guys.
Hobbs, your Klingon lost screen is actually in the process of being made right now.
Oh, I'm excited.
Right now, literally right now, because I've done the model and I've got a work list, and I'm flitting between two things at the same time. But
Dylan Britt says, I'm just here to watch Echo Flex.
I don't know. I am against Caesar. There's not a lot of people who I will definitely say are better than me, and Caesar is one of them.
I'm really quite interested in the tactics that you're using in order to try and defeat what are they called? Poseidons over here. I can see that you're pretty much exclusively using fighters to target the Poseidons.
Yes, I've found Caesar tends to micro his siege ships backwards if I move my fleet towards them. And I
Clever.
would rather have...
you've just told him.
I'm just letting him kill them.
Because as far as you're concerned, as long as he's fine.
No, because the shuttles will outrun the smaller ships, and if he's moving backwards,
the
he's not
shots
attacking.
probably, yeah. It's very true.
So if I move my main fleet in, I will lose my actual ships. As they get pursued.
Despite the seemingly devastating loss, the Ares has just been promoted to. This is how we treat our politicians in the United Kingdom.
You start playing the Amok theme. Da, 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 da. Imagine that in the Houses of Parliament. Jeremy Corbyn, Theresa May.
I would say that unless Caesar's been flanking me somewhere, which is possible, that was definitely a tactical victory.
I would
Whether
suggest
it turns into a strategic victory is another question.
Yeah, I would suggest that it appears to be the case, but in the great scheme of things, I couldn't possibly comment.
As long as he gets his Ares out of there, I think he'll recover. It's whether you want to chase it down or not.
He did escape with the Ares, but it was in a very strange
110
direction.
now, blimey. Hobbs says, "Want it
he's probably
now."
got that planned out.
Hobbs, you're a developer. It'll only go as fast as you do.
No, he wants his defeat screen now.
Oh, I see. Of course he does.
I see.
Zabuki says there are 110 people watching now. Good lord.
God, when did you get popular?
I don't know what happened. Must be all this Star Trek. It's nothing to do with me. It's all to do with Trek. Let's just take a look and see what we got here. Yeah, I'm getting lucky and I'm managing to catch a few streams lately, girl. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that. Centurion says the forbidden question has been asked. Mod delayed by 110 years. Oh, somebody asked when it was going to be released. The first version isn't that far off. Anything with greater clarity than that, I'm afraid I probably can't give you. What's my favourite ship in the mod at the moment? Oh, in fact, I was just looking at it here. The Korolev. Oh, maybe it's not the Korolev. Maybe the Geronimo. Anybody got a Geronimo at this point?
I do not.
That's
No.
Korolev.
Geronimo's in a bit of a funny spot, to be honest.
My favourite ship is the Geronimo, and it's not of a dissimilar design to this one here, the Korolev, but it's got dual engineering, dual engineering hulls.
Dual engineering with 2 nacelles on top of the saucer and half a saucer.
So it really is an absolutely stunning ship. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
If you say so.
Now, I do recall somebody was asking me for more crossfield abilities. So
Yes, I was.
we
thank
covered
you.
target weapons and we covered target antimatter, which are both very potent abilities. Specifically targeting capital ships with them. It also has the Spore Drive, as you will have seen me using from time to time, bouncing all over the place.
Actually, I haven't managed to capture it yet. This match.
Do I still have that crossfield? Yes, I do still have that crossfield. And it's currently disabled. Wonderful.
Oh no.
Let's go to that side of the gravity well. You'll be able to see it in a moment. I'll let you know when I'm going.
I think you might need to be at a different gravity well to
Yes.
do it.
I do.
What do the guys who are watching think of this crossfield? Now, this, of course, is our rendition of the ship in Discovery.
Cardassian.
Zobuk, I think it was Zobuk. Thank you very much for following the channel. I do appreciate that immensely. Do you like this more than you like the Discovery, or do you like it less? Let me know. Right, carry on, my man. Thank you.
The Spore Drive not only is a teleport, it also increases the cooldown on the crossfield. If you zoom in on the one at Rep Civilians, I'm about to use the
Yep, I believe I'm here.
micro warp.
This doesn't look like a very safe system, admittedly.
Yes, I am pulling him out. Understandably, I happen to know that a crossfield will not fare too well against that many areas.
Oh my, is that a 3 Ares fleet?
Yes.
Oh, sausages. Ares, folks, you might recognise as a ship from Axanar. And we really like both the concept and the, I suppose, the execution of the Ares design. So we've designed something that is really quite similar to the Ares in that. There are a few key differences that I'm sure Max would be able to tell us about, but I can't.
I think I might be able to help a little bit.
Okay.
But with the Ares design.
Yeah.
So what he's done with the Ares design, he's well, it was originally like the model originally was made by Wile E. Coyote. And for design, there's very little tweaks done overall to it. What he's mostly done, all he's done is not make the deflector glow. That's it. It's just a regular TOS deflector with a blue background. So it's a lot more. And I think he.
I suspect that he switched out the nacelles as well for his own.
No, the nacelles are original Axanar nacelles for the
Are they?
Ares. Yeah. I can't remember. I can't recall whether he had whether those lines or not, because to keep in on the edge of the saucer, on top, so it keeps in line with the cage version of the Constitution.
I'm not just any Cardassian.
Duar26, thank you very much for following. I really do appreciate that. That's lovely of you.
Yes. So the teleport on the crossfield also allows you to temporarily bypass the shields on an enemy ship.
I see.
Somewhat, just a little bit, and makes their weapons cool down slower. It's a very powerful ability all around, and its fourth ability sounds really boring, but can be quite critical. Is dense storage. It increases the cooldown rate of the crossfield's abilities, and the crossfield has some fairly long cooldowns on its abilities, as they're all very powerful. So you do need to invest a few points in that if you are planning on spamming disable weapons or target antimatter.
Finest Fellas is asking, how do I watch Axanar? Is it on YouTube? Yep, if you type in Prelude to Axanar, you'll be able to find it. And you've also asked how long it is. It's somewhere in the region of 20-25 minutes. It's not a very long production. Because it was intended as an advertisement to the full feature-length edition. But of course, given the legal troubles that the production had, I think it's now been restricted to 2 30-minute productions.
No, 2 15-minute productions.
Good God, that's awful, isn't it?
Ouch.
It's such a shame because it showed such an immense amount of promise. Now, I understand that any IP holder will want to protect their IP, but I do think it's a step back, and I do think it's something that is going to damage Trek as opposed to help it. Being so restrictive.
I think as well they kind of have essentially shot themselves in the foot with it, because it didn't do any favors. Like CBS immediately saw action, I was like, whoa, that's
well, it's something that deals with the same time period, and it would have muddied the waters, if you like, quote unquote, for Discovery.
certainly.
Given the similar time periods, and I think that's what caused them to feel like they had to protect their IP, because people wouldn't have accepted the Discovery canon, given that it's quite it doesn't follow accepted canon all that well from either Enterprise or from TNG.
Yes, given
or indeed from certain
what
episodes of
Discovery
TNG that
is.
go to the TLE period. I think the fact that Axanar, if it had a feature-length film out there, people would have followed the Axanar canon as opposed to the Discovery canon, and that's not what they wanted. I can understand why they did what they did. It just doesn't make me very happy.
It does leave a sour taste in your mouth when you think of it like. Because ultimately, Axanar is very much a homage to the old faster Star Trek, the old like classic Star Trek canon.
Very much so. Very much so. Age of War 84 says we should start a Kickstarter to buy the rights of Star Trek from CBS and Paramount and put it in the public domain. Oh, that'll never happen. There's absolutely no way that they would be willing to do so. I'd really like to see that, and I'd like to see what a wealth of the like, I suppose, the many talents that are out there and the many very passionate groups and people who are out there could potentially do. But they will never relinquish those rights. Not as long as we live. Oh my. Some interesting activity going on over here at Echo Will Pay.
I'm not just any
Did you notice that I
Cardassian.
renamed the world that I took?
Yeah.
From
Yes, I
Echo
did,
Will
yeah.
Die?
I did. Neo Masari, I believe that was. Thank you very much for following the stream. Do appreciate that immensely. No Spores is fine. Tactical Hop is fine. Yeah. While we have made the Discoveries Tactical Hop, if you like, look like the Spore Drive, I don't think we have necessarily alluded to it actually being a Spore Drive, have we?
No.
It's a cold micro warp jump on the
Yeah.
that thingy. So
Yeah, so while we've paid homage to Discovery somewhat by giving it the visuals, or at least a visual representation that's not all that dissimilar from Discovery, we haven't. Wow, okay, this is going to be interesting.
oh boy,
Hello.
How many weapons can one disable at once? Not enough, I think. Juan.
Juan Torpedo does plenty. Or in this case, no.
I'm guessing you didn't want that Jupiter anymore then. Caesar's just throwing Jupiter Cruise to the dogs.
So, got a little tease for you, Chris, because I like teasing.
Do you say tea or a teaser?
Both.
Oh, well, I like both of these things. Where's that living then?
In the artwork and models.
Let's
This is for Hobbs' benefit because I know he loves it.
and models. I see it not.
No, get patient.
Well, that looks pretty. Yeah, it looks good. I can't show the audience, so take that, audience. Oh wow, has the game just gone super speed?
Yes, because of lag. Sorry. What do you have against my crossfield?
It's powerful, probably.
It's out of antimatter. It's useless.
I'm not focusing it.
The crossfield is very antimatter reliant, and if you run out, it's gonna not do very much.
I think someone should build an Asia for that tankiness.
Should they?
Not because it's one of my favourite ship designs. And I didn't build it either.
I mean, they probably should.
Mm.
You're quite right.
Gentleman with a name that I can't read, I apologise. Says, hello girl, I'm playing right now in Armada 3 and it's great, but what ship do the Romulans use to capture neutral mining facilities? They use the Dominus, which is your carrier cruiser. It looks like a U-shape, an elongated U-shape with warp nacelles bolted to the bottom. Can't miss it. This fight seems to be turning against you over here a little bit, Caesar. Over at Juriro.
Stelios.
Chief Gaming says, ha, take that, audience. Oh. I'll show you later.
Well, I'll probably post the...
I'll tell you what. Join the Stellar Parallax Discord, folks, and I'm
They
sure...
can't see that either.
I know, but you're going to post the full thing later, and then I'll show the audience.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, Red Flash, how are you? Steve Spam says, I couldn't get past the first few episodes of Discovery. Are these ships all from that show? No, most of them aren't. The Ares is from Axanar. Let's see what else we've... Whoa! Okay, that's gone.
So I've just used the ability from the Yorktown, which is why you want to have it in the late game fleet. Disable warp engines, which is going to guarantee me this kill on the Ares. Theoretically. Damn it!
Maybe not. Maybe not. Right.
Or you'll get away on like 5 health.
The Yorktown, I think, originally appeared in Star Trek Legacy.
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Let's see what else we've got over here. The Kelvin is from the Star Trek JJ universe, I suppose. It's redesigned, of course, in order to fit with our aesthetic. There's some lag. I don't know where the Magellan's from.
Axanar.
Axanar, okay.
As is the Hermes.
As is indeed the Hermes. Let's see what else we can find that's hanging about. Hanging about. This poor little sausage here that's just died. I believe that's a FASA design.
Which one's that? What does it look like? Describe it.
It looks like one that was also used in Axanar as well. It's very much got an integrated engineering and saucer section, and the engineering engineering segment comes both above and below the saucer section.
The Marklin class.
Marklin, yes.
I know too much about this.
No, it's good. This is why I need you in my life, in and around my life.
That's all right.
The NX is, of course, from Enterprise.
All you have to do is call.
Well then.
And so a love affair begins.
Bow, 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 bow.
Hang on, no porn music.
It's not
Too
porn
far.
music.
That was definitely porn music.
Done.
Yes. People asked me earlier what my favourite ship in the mod was, and I didn't respond because I wanted to wait until somebody built it. This is my favourite ship in the mod.
What is the Korolev?
I can't say what it is because I don't know if the other player to the player that I'm looking at has built it yet.
I'll let the stream catch up, and then I'll go. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, Garth of Isar's old ship. But yeah, I adore this design. This is a great design. And perhaps once the other player to the player I'm currently looking at has seen
the Kelvin, aren't you?
no has seen this ship,
Yes.
Is it not the Kelvin?
then I will discuss it in greater depth with both players. But up until
Because it's a funny one. It's a funny one. This one, isn't it?
funny. We'll discuss it later. We'll discuss it later
Yeah,
and
it would
why
only
I
get
enjoyed
annoying.
it so much.
Has he got a Geronimo?
I
It's a funny one.
couldn't possibly discuss it.
He's got a Geronimo, hasn't he?
So,
Planning on bombing something.
one of the players has definitely got a ship.
That's very descriptive.
I like to think so.
Quickly looks through the.
Oh, wow,
ships
this is
to find
interesting.
out which one's the Geronimo.
This is very interesting. Tactics. I'm going to mute for a moment. Can anybody hear me? No, they can't. Good. Excellent. Okay, so this is very, very interesting. What we're seeing here is Caesar's Legion is pumping out a load of Archimedes. Now, Archimedes are starbase constructors, as we saw earlier. I don't know what he's going to do with these starbases, and I'm quite fascinated to find out. I have a suspicion that he's going to place one over here at Algoa, and I think he'll likely also place one at Adonis in order to try and secure it. Whether he'll take one over to RIP civilians and try and recolonize that is debatable. Well, I'm not sure what he'll do. Now, the ship that I was just talking about is, of course, the Asia class. I've lost it now. I'm not going to be able to find it again. Asia, where have you gone? It's over here somewhere. There it is, yes. And the Asia in my mind is almost an immediate precursor to the Constitution. It's this really kind of tanky, bulky, slightly more primitive looking Constitution. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a FASA ship. What a beautiful ship it is. Absolutely gorgeous. We'll talk about it a little bit more later on because I know this is one of Connor's favourite ships and he'll be able to tell us all about it, I'm sure. Right, back into the chat. Okay, folks, I'm back with you.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
It's me.
Well, I'm fairly happy to say that the counter to the Ares, the Hermes, is performing reasonably well.
You had
At
enough
least
of
I feel that that's what's been countering them. I've been trying to maintain a group of 4.
Well, that's
and
good.
focus
Would you
fire.
like to explain why the Hermes acts as a good counter to the Ares?
because it's
So the
damage is
Hermes-
direct counter to the armor type of the Ares, if I recall
That's
correctly.
that's the most basic element to it. The Hermes is the long-range torpedo cruiser, and its damage type, as Caesar says, is a type that does more damage to.
Thank you,
capital ships
Giral.
and
You're quite right.
tons.
Giral's
And
just
it
corrected
also
me on
has a
something,
very
and he's
long
absolutely
range.
right. Hearing a lot of bing boom and boom bings.
That may be my fault. Let me mute my Discord. There we go. That's silenced that.
Thanks, bud.
It's all right. I know that when Discord noises go off, there it gets all people jittery.
Actually, here's one thing of import, Connor. I don't suppose you could have a quick listen to the stream. I'll be looking at a Magellan, And could you tell me if the guys in the stream are able to hear the little noises that you get on the ships?
Okay. There we go. That's silenced that.
Perfect. Well, I can hear Connor.
I'm sorry, you're hearing me twice. I don't know what I can't. I'm going to have to mute myself.
Caesar stream sniping.
No, I could just hear it from my headset.
Yes, I can hear the beep boop beep boop beep boop boop. It's nice. That's all I can say.
Good. I really like the beep boop boop beep. I wanted to make sure that the audience could hear that when you were around ships. Right. Steve Spam has asked. Was it my imagination that you guys were working on an original series / movie era mod, or is that what this has been morphed into? That's the plan is that's going to come after this. So yes, we do plan to do a TMP or the movie period mod, and it will be heavily reliant and based on what we come up with in this. This is what I suppose you'd call AOTF 1, or the working title is The 4 Years' War. I don't know what the working title of the second one will be, but AOTF 2.
It's the Cold War.
The Cold War, there you go. That will be very much TMP reliant with certain elements of TOS in there as well, based on the current design. Oh dear. That Crossfield be trapped, yo.
That's unfortunate. I see Caesar's learned he needs turrets when he's fighting against me.
Not trapped anymore, though.
Bye!
Good play there. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, micro warp jump is just... It's... You cannot underestimate how valuable it is. They're a mixture of a lot of different sounds, I believe, Chris. Some of them are JJ, and I think some of them have been taken from other sources as well, to my understanding. What have we got there?
Ooh, an item for your wish list is on sale on Steam.
Ooh.
Let's see if I can still not afford it. Or even if I really want it. Endless Space 2 is on sale again. But I don't know if...
What game? Sorry?
Endless Space 2.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's not bad.
I quite enjoy that. I just don't really have time for that kind of strategy and Sins.
Yeah, that bling sounded like Sins crashing.
No, it wasn't. That was me rendering out.
Oh, God,
I'm sorry.
I just pooped me panties.
I just lost £3.
Ooh, here's an interesting question, and one that we haven't discussed as a group. I can't give you an answer to this, Parade Partisan. He says, are hero ships coming back into later time periods of AOTF? I don't know, is the answer to that. It's something that, as a team, we haven't discussed. I don't expect them to, but I don't know. It's something that we'll have to discuss as a team and work out what we want.
Right. Let's save frame. I'm going to call the Klingon defeat screen done.
It's a funny name for it.
The fuck it.
The done.
More of a dun dun dun, wouldn't it?
This is what I have to contend with, ladies and gentlemen. The terrible puns.
Steve says Endless Space 2 multiplayer is super broken. Avoid that unless you're only looking for a single player experience.
That's a shame, because I would want to play it with other people. I suppose Stellaris will have to be the go-to multiplayer then, in that case.
As far as I know, It works fine. It's just not particularly balanced.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on what level of play you're running at.
And Jarell asks, are there any plans for a special ability called Send in the Red Shirts? No. I wanted to make a joke, but I haven't got the brain power.
It's called Send in the Neptunes.
Send in the goats.
Send in the goats. The men who stare at goats.
It's a classic film, that is.
It wasn't bad at all, was it? Was it George Clooney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but really good.
I think that might be slightly overkill, Caesar.
Excuse me?
That Conestoga probably doesn't deserve to be attacked by two Ares at the same time.
I think it's perfectly justified.
I didn't say it wasn't justified. I said it was overkill.
I want to know is why I tell my Ares to go and attack the stuff you're building, and they decide, yeah, no, actually, no, we're going to keep going after Conestoga. Yeah.
My toga.
This Conestoga is far more important than.
That was good. I like that.
Connor's toga.
Oh my god.
I'd wear one.
I mean, that is kind of what it is, Connor's toga. There's no Connor's ta ogre. Conesta toga.
Conestoga. Conestoga.
There's just one T.
Oh, you see what I have to deal with? Oh
Like
my.
whoever took the
Okay.
spelling.
How did I not notice that? And what exactly are you trying to do with it?
I think he's trying to attack things.
Yeah.
A couple of
but
things. Annoy the
it's a
living
bit
daylights out of you,
far away force
and
me to build
artillery
some
warhead.
Dumas. I mean, it's decent, but
Play Darmjot human.
I feel like that's a very expensive way to deal with my two turrets and one starbase. Does artillery warhead actually target starbases anyway?
Not a clue. Never used it.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yep.
Where am I looking here?
At Sakharov.
Targets enemy capital ships, frigates, corvettes, structures, star bases, and titans.
Well, okay.
Where are the sausagery? Oh, here we are.
So yes.
Oh, look at this. How did that get there?
I only just noticed it. You know why it got there, Gull?
Is it got something to do with me distracting you, yakety schmackety?
No,
It
no,
went-
it's got everything to do with these icons, the pips being whack.
Oh, just look, they were fine. Back in the day, they were all right, and then something moved somewhere, and the pips are buggered now.
Shortly.
I will fix them. Shortly, I will fix them.
Surely he'll fix them.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
So, exactly how good is this artillery warhead against structures? That's what I want to know.
Insta kill.
It has a listed damage of 1,200, and I think a splash of 700
Right.
with a
So it'll
60-second
kill
cooldown.
the unshielded things pretty quickly.
Do it, do it, do it.
Klingon defeat screens in the artwork and model channel if you'd like to take a look, Chris.
I would love to. Oh, that looks very nice. Are you happy for me to share this with the chat?
Go ahead.
Apparently, I'm utterly unable to. Your original.
Is that? Oh no, it's in Asia. Okay.
So Connor has just completed his Klingon defeat screen, folks, and hopefully you're all going to be able to see that.
Hobbs has moisted himself.
Gull, have you ever visited the website for Barfleet Casual NCC Revoked? No, I haven't. I don't even know what it is. Oh, have you already done your gravity warhead?
Sorry?
Wasn't there some kind of energy gravity artillery warhead of doom or something?
That's still being researched.
Tell me when you're going to do it.
Yes. Sure, but it'll probably be on autocast. Actually, is it? I don't know. Check. Yes, it's on autocast.
Chris, when asked, Darth Nitro asks, is killing a Bajon murder or property damage?
Oh dear.
I'm going to say neither. It's just
murder
it's
because
just waste extraction.
It's murder because all lives are valuable.
It's waste extraction.
Connor revealing his true colours here.
No, not at all. Now, excuse me while I put my piff on and my hunting jacket.
Pest control, says Tral. Jesus. You're not going to be able to grab this one, I'm afraid, Steve. Ages of the Federation isn't complete yet, and we haven't got a download ready for it. I'm ever so sorry. Star Trek Armada 3, however, is complete, so do feel free to grab that.
Enjoy, the wonderful that is, the Dominion War era. It's a shame you can't limit tech levels in Sins in the options. Like
it would be cool, yeah.
Yeah,
and having a proper progression thing would be awesome as well.
Yeah. I think because then that would really help for AOTF too. If we do TOS to TMP, then be able to lop it off. So I just want a TOS only game or a TMP only game.
Still waiting for this energy warhead of doom.
I don't know if it's finished yet.
I don't believe it's actually an energy warhead.
No, it's just a high explosive
Look,
warhead.
it's exactly what I want it to be. Oh, there it goes. Where's it going?
That didn't fire from the starbase, did it?
Yeah.
Cruiser construction.
It did.
Commencing.
Okay.
Yeah. It just fired sideways at the starbase and then decided to start tracking afterwards.
Okay.
That was fun.
I mean, it did a good amount of damage. That's that research outpost.
Yeah, it'll really kill the unshielded things.
I really like the look of the starbases in AOTF 1.
Yeah, they look really nice. My key complaint at the moment is the fact that the defense starbase actually looks smaller than any of the others, and I always thought it would be beefier because beefier means big bang bang.
No, I like to think of it as. I like to think of it as compact and ready to take a. I think of it as like the Defiant.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
Yeah. It might not look like much, but it's got.
If I was a Federation captain, I would, and they gave me a Defiant cluster, I would insist that they made it 3 times the size.
Make it bigger.
What are you compensating for?
How dare you?
The shielding looks great now, doesn't it?
So, Chris,
does, yes.
Chris, you want to discuss the Asia class now? Now that cat's out the bag.
Yes, yeah, Asia class. It's I was corrected. It's Starfleet Museum, if I'm right.
It is. It is Starfleet Museum, correct?
It's really, really nice, and it's kind of it presents a really nice bridge on the way to the Connie. In my mind, anyway. I don't know whether that's what it was, but
it was like it was for the Starfleet Museum. It was a test bed for a lot of the new technologies that were starting to come into play in the 23rd century, should I say? So stuff like people transporters and phasers and photon torpedoes. It was testing all those, but it wasn't very powerful. It was definitely more geared towards science. and I think only 6 of them were built according to the Starfleet Museum.
Yeah, bitch, science.
But you know, in AOTF, it's a bit more of a general purpose
Oh my, look at this. It's sandwich time.
sandwich time. What kind of sandwich?
Looks like a Caesar sandwich.
Mmm.
Usually they'd go in salads, but no, not this time.
Yeah, I'm not going to finish that starbase.
Oh, there's an explosion. Oh, there it goes. That looks like a stock explosion.
I don't think the stock one has that last little bit.
Do I need to download an updated file for Armada 3? Yes, you do. Oh, wow.
Oh my, I'm going to lose that starbase.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That starbase is done. Our alliance is done.
It really is a sad situation. But we won't sing it because we don't want to get copyright strike.
What's this?
It's a sad situation.
Jarrell says its warp core used dilithium, and until the Connie, the Feds only dabbled in dilithium-mediated reactors.
Yeah, one good thing Starfleet Museum does really well is like basically the progression of starships is the progression of its reactor system. You know, so warp cores are incredibly
How many
vital.
Kelvin Enterprises? How many Kelvin Enterprises would it take to take out the Enterprise E? All of them, lots of them. Despite the fact that the Kelvin Enterprise is probably bigger than the Enterprise E. Kelvin sizes. Ugh. Anyway, I suspect that would be quite an interesting question philosophically. Not philosophically, practically. Could a JJ Enterprise beat some of the more modern ships that we see in the proper big boy Star Trek series?
Well, the Federation ships, well, all the ships look strange in the Kelvin timeline versus because they've essentially been exposed to Borg technology 100-odd years before they even encountered the Borg. So suddenly you've got all these concepts and ideas that suddenly...
That or everybody who was working as a producer and or artist on the JJ Trek was a bell end.
Both,
One of the
two.
two. We're not sure which.
Yeah, both.
I don't really hate JJ Trek. I think it helped Star Trek because it brought a different type of fan into the Star Trek fold. And I like to hope somebody who would never have considered Star Trek before watched the film and then thought, all right, I'll give the series a go, and then enjoyed it, or one of the series a go. And I hope that happened. I don't know whether it did, but we all live in hope, don't we?
Oh. Whoops.
Definitely something.
Yes, did you just notice you lost that Ares?
There may have been a notification informing me that a cruiser may or may not have been lost.
I mean, it's not ideal.
There might have been a slight explosion.
I am liking the I am liking the much smaller ship battles though.
Yeah, there's way more raiding going on as well than there was in something like Star Trek Armada 3.
Yeah.
And that's super cool to see. I'm really enjoying this kind of dynamic gameplay that you guys... sod it, let's call it what proper game developers call it. Emergent gameplay.
Well then.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was very aggressive.
I do my best.
Okay, I think it's time for me to do that.
Jarrell says, JJ looks better now that STD is around. I don't know. I think there are good things about Star Trek Discovery, folks, and I think I've been guilty, as perhaps many of the other members of the dev team, we've been probably guilty of bashing Star Trek Discovery, perhaps more than it deserves in the past.
Why do you think I'm constantly going on about the Crossfield?
Allied cruiser complete.
I'm still not saying it's a great series, because in my opinion it's not. There are certain things I don't like about the breakneck speed of Discovery, I suppose, is my primary concern and issue. Not enough character development, too much positive reinforcement. I know that sounds like a silly thing, considering
I remember you saying this before. Yeah.
Considering that positive reinforcement, it's generally quite a nice thing, but it's an unnecessary level of positive reinforcement, and it really bothers me. At least one character in every episode gets told that they're special and wonderful and better than everybody else at something, and I think it should be up to the audience to infer that. If somebody displays traits that make them superior to other people at what they do, then the audience should be allowed to infer that by themselves. You don't need to make a song and dance out of it because they're already watching it happen.
I can definitely get behind that assessment.
And that's one of my key irritations with Discovery. I will say that I enjoyed the last episode that came out. Quite a lot, because it was a slower episode. There was more character development, and I felt a pang of sympathy for one of the characters, which is a first. No, no, I did enjoy the last episode. I think was it Telos? The fact that they'd gone back and looked at the Telos thing, and they brought some characters that were in OS episode back into it just for that episode. It really tied things together quite nicely, and I appreciated that. Hello. Haven't seen one of these yet. Trelane Ultima says, this looks mostly complete and mostly bug-free. You'll never make it as modern game devs.
Whoa. Coming in with that real shit.
Don't worry, we'll do a
Savage.
We'll do a day one patch. Everything will be fine.
Paid DLC. Come on.
Paid deals. Oh yeah. Is CBS going to crawl up your ass or mine?
Why not both?
Why not both? Heavily gloved fist up each.
Oh no. Man, this Starbase thing is annoyingly effective.
Well, I mean, you wanted me to experiment to see if the military base was worthwhile. So I'm just giving it a go. And you
That
are
is
free
fair.
to make your own conclusions. As am I. I, for one, think the cooldown time of 60 seconds needs to be halved.
Do you? Are you sure about that?
Sorry, is my fantasies coming instead of my realistic, honest feedback? Sorry, very mistake. I mean, sorry, no, it should definitely have its damage nerfed to 0 and its cooldown increased to 1,000.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That way we don't have to worry about ever researching it again.
Mm-hmm. That sounds balanced to me. What is it with all these Marklin classes?
I'm afraid to say that I've only got about another quarter of an hour left, so can one of you win, please? Thanks.
I get the feeling we're going to be going quite a bit longer. I think we've gotten to the point where we're evenly matched, unfortunately.
The end game has occurred, but the end is not in sight.
Something like that.
I'm afraid I've got a prior engagement a little bit later, you see.
What? What?
Yeah.
I mean, we can go, alright, we'll call it a draw if you want.
No, keep playing.
If we want to have a post-game discussion that actually involves goal, might be a good idea.
Alright, we call it a draw is potentially a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're a thing that I have.
Do you want to see how this fleet battle goes, though? Because
I do, yeah.
brought a very interesting.
One more big boy
composition.
fight.
Dun,
Where
dun,
are
dun,
you
dun,
go-
dun,
Your
dun.
Ares are really misbehaving all over the place. They fly off without the rest of the fleet.
I'm just not doing any micro. That's pretty much the core here. Oh, you've got bloody things again.
See,
Mind.
I like to think that in the AOTF verse, I don't know, I'm just making it up, that the Crossfield and the Asia were competing designs.
I can see why that would kind of make sense, yeah.
And the Asia won out.
They've both got more integrated hull designs. This is a really odd fleet composition from Caesar.
Yeah, I think he's gone for a very ability disable heavy layout and relying on the Ares for damage.
Let's see what composition that you've got going on. Lots of long range behaviour. Some good tankiness. Fighters, which are relatively effectively countered by the Franklins that he's got. Yeah, this could be a very interesting fight. I don't know who's going to win this. Oh God. Looks like Captain Kirk's going to have to change the rules.
My God bones. What have I done?
Oh my.
Oh, hello.
Target the photonic mines before they arm.
A photonic cannon.
It doesn't really matter, I don't think, because they can't go invulnerable.
Can't they?
Nope.
Huh.
I'm actually kind of questioning the point now.
Yeah. I could have sworn they still had the ability to go invulnerable.
Doesn't look like
but
they've got
that's
Undying Will, which is potentially what's meant to make them invulnerable. But if that is the case, it isn't working.
It might not have been implemented. They are before my time, I have to tell you. So
I will inspect. I'm now doing things for AOTF, I suppose. So I will have a look over the next couple of days.
don't sound so excited about it, Joel.
Harumph, harumph.
Mr. I'm only a man and I will die someday. You want sins, not Stellaris. This is what you want. You need this.
Pebble M says, what are starbases like in AOTF? I mean, can they hold their own against a reasonable size attack force, or would they be a pushover? That is going to depend on the type of starbase that you have. Let's just roll around the map a little bit, Pebble, and we'll have a look at the different types of starbase that exist. First, we have a logistics starbase. Now, this is going to be across all factions, of course. Sorry, an economic starbase. This is primarily a trade station. Its weapons are relatively weak in the great scheme of things. Doesn't have a lot of upgrades, does it, weapon-wise or defense-wise?
For crying out loud, I need to stop. I keep forgetting that I've got stuff happening elsewhere.
That could be, yeah, that's probably not a good thing for you. In addition to that, there is, I'll have a look at that in a moment. There is also, that's another economic starbase. Well, we'll have a look at this one. There is the defense starbase. This is a militarized starbase, and it can stand up to a lot more, like a constitution. But anyway,
Not for long.
the
Defense starbase is an absolute tank.
It is. It's very, very good. I'm sure one of you had a research starbase somewhere, didn't you?
Oh, I've got a couple of those up, yeah. Starbases absolutely can deal with raiding fleets, even reasonable sized fleets, especially the combat one.
Just some are better than others at it, aren't they?
Yeah. But you can overwhelm them in regular combat. They're not as good as they were in STA 3.
Yeah, by a country mile. There you go. You also have this fine fellow here, which is a research starbase, and there is a logistical starbase, which is... there was one over here, but I think it may have been blown up. Oh, no, it's still up. There you go. And there's also a logistical starbase.
Logistical one,
I see.
Which is a shipyard. And also very useful. I do believe I'm going to lose this fight because Caesar brought reinforcements. And I might.
I wouldn't be too sure. Your Hermes have been an absolute pain. The simple fact of the matter is I'm experimenting with Magellans and Marklins because I'm trying to find a reasonable counter to your Hermes. Because as far as I can tell, using when I've had NXs and I've used NXs and they haven't provided the oomph I want against the Hermes in relation to actually killing.
I don't think the NX is meant to be a counter to the.
No, and
I have questions. Why is nobody building Geronimos?
The Hermes
Cardenuses.
Because the Geronimos
the
rubbish.
Hermes has medium.
Well, make it better then. It's very cool.
What I gather, I think the Hermes has medium armor.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think. And,
And the,
so,
NX is
as we know, anti-light is the because we had a look through the damage figures where I got very angry because anti-medium is actually anti-medium. Anti-light is more effective against anti-medium than anti-medium. So so trying to find a ship with anti-light that is going to not just get nuked by any of your cruisers or capital ships is trying.
So
Pebble was asking if the logistics starbase has shipyard functions. Yes, I believe it does.
it does, yes.
That also tied into a question by Jarrell. I'm only a man and I will die someday says, so why this over Stellaris? Because you can be more tactical in this. Yeah, it's more engaging from the standpoint of the way that you control your ships. Stellaris is just Blob A flies into Blob B and does what it wants. This, you've got an element of control, which makes it a little bit more interesting. In addition to that, we found, or the team that was developing, I wasn't part of it, the team that was developing the Stellaris mod many moons ago, they found that the rapid and quite significant changes to the code format of Stellaris was it moved at a pace faster than the team could deal with, and therefore it was undoing their work every few months or every couple of months, and that would have realistically, given the small size of the team, it would have prevented a full release ever coming out, sadly. And that's part of the reason that Stellaris was dropped.
So, just going back to the Hermes counter, I do believe that shuttles are actually quite strong against the Hermes armor type. So, bringing a couple of carriers would probably have done you well. Not certain though.
I seem to recall trying it last game, but I don't know if you've made changes to the strike block damage type since then, so honestly,
I think I have,
can't say
yeah.
for sure.
Well, I've found my shuttle group to be actually remarkably effective, more than I thought they would be.
They've been doing a lot of damage. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Zenson 76 is very much correct. The Stellaris is a 4X and this is an RTS with 4X elements. Yeah, that is definitely true.
But I have to say also, Caesar, that your heavy use of the Ares really, it's been hard to deal with. Very difficult. And I don't
Say
know that I would
but I
be
also
able
feel
to.
like I'm not making much progress broadly. You're holding your own.
I'm very stubborn.
And the question is, how much longer would I be able to keep something like this going for?
Before an economic collapse happens.
I was going to say, I suspect, based on what I've been watching throughout the match as a whole, that economically, it's probable that Echo is in the driving seat.
Echo's ahead of me, yeah.
I don't feel like I am, though.
I don't
I feel
feel
like I'm losing more.
I don't think there's going to be a significant gap between us, but Echo is ahead, yes.
Hmm.
How much that gap is, something we'll find out in the post-game stats.
I presume you're going to let. Are you going to continue the match, or are you going to let it play out?
I think we'll probably call it a draw in a minute because this is getting very
Tedious,
yes.
and it's coming up to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine.
It's devolved into Western Front circa 1916.
Certainly feels that way.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I can see ways that both of you could win. But that means holding the other force at base somewhere else and splitting your fleets in both instances.
Which is partially what I've been attempting to do.
It's worked for both of you with limited success.
Varying degrees of success. I mean, what I was hoping would happen is my military starbase would cause Echo a fair distraction. He'd withdraw to try and deal with it with the fleet. And then I'd be able to swoop on in and kill some stuff. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened in the way I would hope.
While I was rubbishing the Geronimo earlier, I probably should be employing one or two Geronimos to go and raid the planets themselves, because Caesar's fortified his logistic structures pretty thoroughly, but the planets generally still have quite a lot of empty space. And I could make quite a dent in the tax income, potentially.
Yeah, I could see that. Joel would like to know how good the fixed weapons are. For the Federation, they're pretty good. They have the capacity to hold enemy ships in place, which does give you a potential tactical advantage.
Yeah, defense turrets are something that constantly goes back and forth in balance. I do wonder if they're... it's a long discussion, to be honest. I do feel that the Defender has the advantage, though, overall, at the moment.
Which is how these things usually fall, though, isn't it?
Yes, but I just wonder if it's too much of an advantage. Like, I think we've both made mistakes. I know I've definitely made some mistakes in this game, but I don't feel that Caesar's been able to capitalize on those mistakes.
Right.
And that's definitely in part because of how thoroughly I've set up starbases all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do we want to call it a draw and have a chat while Gull's still around?
Sure. I'm going to press quit. Hopefully I get to see the stats here. I do. How nice. There's my stats flatlining as usual.
I just want to see the Constitution blow up.
Well, has that ship been a thorn on your side?
No, not really. It's only arrived. It's only just got here.
I kind of forgot I had one ordered for a little while. And then I sent
No,
it to help deal with
don't,
that Starbase.
Don't run away! Fight, you fool!
I'm out of the game, so if it's running, it's the
I think
AI.
it's an AI.
Artificial intelligence has deemed it.
So this is actually very surprising. The goods production rate. Caesar, you thought I was only ahead by a little bit.
I thought probably, but in all honesty, it could have been higher.
It peaked at 93 for me, while you were at 52, and by the end of the game, 79 to 58.
Oh, blimey. Yeah.
See, that was
I'm
consistent with what
surprised.
I was seeing throughout the game.
Where is all that coming from? So there's a degree of crossover from planetary income. So there's about, what, there 25k roughly there, give or take. A difference there from planets, and in trade, 70k. How many trade stations did you have though?
Reasonable number.
Structure trade port. You had
Oh,
17
I had
to my
quite
12.
a few more. Yeah. So that'll probably be that. I think you generally tech faster than me, whereas I'm using those slots for
Combat Lab.
trade.
I know that towards the end of the game, Caesar was getting a lot of credits from other sources.
Non-Combat Lab, kind of. That's me selling. Other sources is black market, I think, usually.
I was mostly
No,
buying.
selling to the black market. There you go. So where's other sources? 33k. I mean, that's not a great deal, but I'm not sure what the other sources would be from.
The trade to credit conversion.
Trade to credit conversion. Salvage, you can get stuff from as well. You set it up thusly. Good spent on ships. Interesting. Good spent on capital ship levels. Ding, 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 ding. Caesar wins that one.
Yeah, I was a bit slow on the research in that.
I'm always spending money on capital ship levels. Whether or not it ends up being a net benefit to me is a different matter. But
I'm not sure it's that much of a benefit on the Ares, but it would definitely be on the other capital
you
ships.
spent a lot more on planets, and I'm curious where and why that is.
Good spent on planets. So that last one's probably when I went full econ spec on the
unless you're
Class M.
this is good spent on planets. So you'll spend.
No, because it's quite expensive to fully spec that. I did also spend some money on planets that then were lost.
I don't feel like it's 14k difference though. Is my only thought process there. So it's that's there you go. It's a different matter.
Did you fully specialize your
Nope.
M?
No.
I have the document here.
I mean, although the one thing to note there is, although despite the discrepancy in resources, you weren't really able to capitalize on it.
I did have a lot sitting in the bank for quite a long period.
Towards the end of the game, you had a lot of available stuff.
Yeah, look at my goods available. I'm quite pulling them spent in the late game.
So you find that microing in order to actually get enough stuff is probably your limiting factor there, maybe?
I think one of the things you could have done, Echo, is you could have definitely afforded to lose more ships in a war of attrition. The problem was, if you look at the number of frigate factories I had in comparison to you.
Yeah. I was relying quite a bit on my
logistics
Starbase.
Stations.
Yeah.
Then I blew it up.
I rebuilt it. It wasn't that much of a pain, but I probably could have afforded to lose more. I tend to lose my way a bit in the late game. I don't really know what a late game win looks like, funnily enough. I've trained so much on early game and my various...
Yeah, I would
mods
say
that-
you definitely had a better early game in various different aspects. I think I would say your economic strategy in early game was stronger than Caesar's based on what I saw.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
Just in the way that you were developing your planets, with regards to the balance between refineries and trade structures, and also I'm not sure which of you it was. One thing that I noticed that I thought was a really clever idea. I think it might have been Caesar that did this. Is one player chose to go exclusively refineries on one world, and then as soon as they got the economic starbase, they used that for the trade, which I thought was really interesting. Was that you, Caesar?
Possibly. I don't think I destroyed my trade
So-
station. I destroyed my research labs on my homeworld.
You did in
I
order
got
to
a
give
second
them.
refinery.
Yeah.
I
Because my
destroyed my trade.
understanding of how the refineries work is they apply to adjacent planets.
They
So
do, that's
if
right.
you've got a very centralized position, you don't need to have a line of them in the same way you do have trade ports. You can just have one that will, or two in this case, because two is the maximum benefit you get, and that will apply to the planets around it. So that's why I
Yes.
did it there, because I then also relocated the bulk of my research to the planet behind my homeworld. It's right at the back, very safe. If Echo really wants to get at my research and the bulk of my research, he's either going to have to take my M temperate, which is in a central position, or that planet, which is all the way at the back. He has to get through all of my planets, and by the time he's there, if he wants to get out, good luck.
Yeah. No, that was a solid decision. My research was a lot more distributed. I also tend to use starbases to prop up my research.
to
in the
prop
late
up your
game.
research. Yeah. I definitely made some errors. I didn't want to go too heavily in the Ares. I only had 4, which in the grand scheme of things isn't too many, considering
See,
you have up to 11.
Just any
I felt
Anonymous,
like
thank you
you
very
had a
much
lot
for
more
subscribing.
than that.
No, I pretty much always only had 4 at most.
Yeah, I think you made track of where.
Well, there we go. I think
how
that
many
was
you
that
had and
was.
where they all were.
My issue was trying to deal with your Hermes, because every engagement, the one constant to me seemed to be the Hermes, and my thought process, the issue with my thought process is you had good capital ship variety, so you've got damage type variety. You had a good number of frigates, and then you also had the Hermes and the strike craft. And so trying to come up with a workable fleet counter, to me, without just blatantly copying your fleet design, was tedious.
One
It's
thing I
why I
noticed
was using.
neither of us
it's-
used
Sorry, go on.
corvettes.
Yeah, I didn't. My reason for doing so was that I felt the Strikecraft might counteract them a bit too much, but I don't know if that was actually the case. The problem with Corvettes is I feel you need to have a good number of them, and if you're going to have a good number of them, they're going to get penalized by the death pool too heavily to make them worthwhile.
I think that is certainly a possibility, but I do think we also need to test that because
Oh yeah,
it's-
that's only a theory. It's why it's the theory is the why I
Well,
didn't
the death ball penalisation could be stronger than it is right now.
well, part of the thing with the death ball penalization is it's not applying from capital ships right now. So adding capital ships to a fleet doesn't add any more stacks of
Interesting.
death ball, which is probably why we both go so heavily into capital ships. And you
Well,
know
it
the
was
reason
always
for
intended that
it's
it
'cause
would
causes
apply to
errors.
caps.
The plan is that it will be on the capital ships. It's just it causes a zillion errors in dev mode, so it's
It's
just
not
too
really
frustrating
included.
to have.
No,
it on
I
right now.
appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Right, folks. Well, I think we're going to call that the end of this stream. I hope you've enjoyed watching a bit of Ages of the Federation this evening. A couple of people have asked about a release date. We haven't got one yet. I'm sorry. As soon as we know, you'll know.
Yeah, and I also have to stress it's very much work in progress in the balance area. That's what today was for.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not necessarily be wise to use the same strategies we use today when it actually comes out.
Indeed.
There you go. Thank you very much for letting me sit in and watch the match. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I'm glad. I hope everyone else
Good.
did.
And I imagine the audience will want to thank you as well.
Thank you, audience.
Why, thank you, Tinkle Fairy. For now, folks, I'm going to get out of here. And I will see you in the next video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.